Hello.
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 Today, we look at the news.
And how it's reported on television and radio.
And we talked to this woman, Carol Walker, who's a news reporter on British television.
Good evening. Here is the news. Today, the President said that he was very pleased with the economic situation. Princess Bettina insisted that she had no plans to marry. And the coach of the US basketball team admitted that he felt very disappointed with last night's result.
Those were news reports about the President, a princess, and the coach of the US basketball team. What did those people actually say? And how did I report it?
I am very pleased with the economic situation.
He said that he was very pleased with the economic situation.
No, no, no. I have no plans to marry.
She insisted that she had no plans to marry.
Yes, it's true. I feel very disappointed.
He admitted that he felt very disappointed.
How do you get your news? From television, radio, or newspapers?
I get my news from newspapers and the television.
I listen to the radio in the morning and the evening.
I get my news basically from a lot from the radio. I don't watch a lot of television, and I don't have time to read the newspaper.
I get my news via satellite television.
I get my news by watching the television news each day.
Hi, welcome to Monster News. Today, I'm going to talk to one of the most famous monsters in the world. Hi, I'm Edwina Doom from Monster News. Do you mind if I ask you a few questions? Do you have any plans to make a new film? Who's your new girlfriend? And why don't you like answering questions?
Now then, did you want to ask me any questions?
What questions did the reporter ask the monster?
She asked him if he had any plans to make a new film. She asked him who his new girlfriend was. She asked him why he didn't like answering questions.
Television news needs pictures and sound. For any news story, there'll be a camera crew and usually a reporter who is on the spot to explain what is happening. Carol Walker is a BBC television news reporter. Let's find out how a story is put together and what the difficulties are.
Basically, the way we normally work is I will go out with a camera crew to film interviews, street scenes, pictures of the disaster, pictures of people shooting at one another, whatever it may be. We take the pictures back and I'll work with an editor and record my voice track. The editor will put together the pictures, perhaps an excerpt of an interview. And that basic process is the same whether I'm reporting on a British rail story in London or a war anywhere overseas.
We're going to have to keep it quite tight because we've only got, because of short bulletins, they're talking about 1:10. OK, can I just have a look at the pictures we've got of the 225s?
Aerial shots from the cab.
Shots from the cab. We've got some. It'd be nice to start with some of this, wouldn't it? Really. Yeah.
What are the difficulties of the job?
Well, the difficulties vary according to what the story is and where the story is. Often it's a case of battling against the authorities who don't want you to find out what you want to find out.
Yeah, I did speak to her earlier, but I just had another query that I wanted to kind of clarify.
What are the ways to avoid bias and stay objective?
I think that to avoid bias, what you have to do is to stand back a little bit, to try to approach everything that anybody says to you with a certain degree of scepticism, and to try, wherever possible, to check it out and to get the other point of view, and not to necessarily believe everything people tell you, to always be aware that they may very well have a hidden agenda behind what they're telling you, and they may be exaggerating something for political reasons.
Carol works with a camera crew, a team of people who accompany her when she's reporting.
They film interviews and street scenes.
Carol may have to interview a politician or report a terrible accident or disaster.
She's now going to talk about one particular news story, a plane crash in Holland. Here's how she reported it on the television news.
Workers at the site of the crash found the flight data recorder buried beneath the collapsed concrete of the apartment block. It is severely damaged and burned and has been taken to the Farnborough Accident Investigation Centre to be examined by specialists. The cargo plane's full load of fuel kept the huge fire burning here for 3 hours. The flight data recorder is designed to withstand only about half an hour of intense heat. We had heard from firemen at the scene of the crash that the flight data recorder had been found, and the Dutch Aviation Authority subsequently confirmed that. These pictures show the El Al cargo plane arriving at Schiphol shortly before its last ill-fated flight. An airport spokesman has confirmed that in July it had a fire in the number 2 engine. Emergency services were alerted as it landed here on 3 engines, but the fire was put out by the plane's own extinguishers. One senior Dutch air traffic controller had plotted the entire route of the plane. He was able to tell me at exactly what time the pilot had maydayed the emergency. He told me exactly the advice he'd given to the pilot. He told me what the pilot had done to try to avert the crash. And he told me why the plane had actually crashed where it had. Air traffic controllers have already given crash investigators some details of that final flight, number LY1862, which lasted less than 15 minutes. At 6,000 feet as it headed out along the coast, the Israeli pilot put out a mayday call, reporting fire in the number 3 engine. The radar map charts his downward spiral, circling twice as he struggled to control the plane. Air traffic controllers advised the El Al pilot to head for Schiphol's main runway, where a strong headwind might have helped him. Instead, he went for the closest runway, where a tailwind made his task more difficult. But by that stage, it is debatable whether anything could have saved the plane from crashing. Other authorities, for example, the city authorities from Amsterdam, the mayor gave a press conference, and we asked why, for example, initially the death toll had been put at in excess of 200. It was later revised to about 80. And the mayor said that it was because it was very difficult to have accurate records in that area where there was a large and partly illegal immigrant community. At the centre of the crash, the search for further clues is taking second place to the efforts to recover what remains of the dead before Friday's deadline when the site will be cleared. Experts here accept this will make the task of the crash investigators more difficult. Carol Walker, BBC News, Amsterdam.
That was a difficult story to report. Carol interviewed air traffic controllers and people involved in the rescue operation. They were very concerned to find the flight data recorder. This is what Carol found out.
We had heard that the flight data recorder had been found.
And what did the air traffic controller say?
He told me the advice he had given to the pilot. He advised the pilot to head for the main runway.
Reporting about the Amsterdam air disaster was a disturbing job for Carol. So, after all that, does she like her work?
I think I enjoy the unpredictability of it. I think I enjoy the fact that even if I'm having a rather boring day in the office, things can happen very suddenly and I can be travelling somewhere halfway around the world. I think also you get, if you like, a front row seat on events which are shaping history, world events of enormous importance, and a chance to actually be there when those events are happening and to talk to the people who are making history is an extraordinary opportunity.
This is what Carol enjoys about her work.
She likes having a front row seat. She reports on world events of enormous importance. And she interviews people who are making history.
Today, we met Carol Walker, an international television news reporter.
And she told us what her working life was like.
That's all for now. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.